Hey, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. You're listening to the longest running superhero role playing game on Earth. And as always, I'm your host, the Game Master. And today we're going to be talking about Magneto versus Sebastian Shaw. But before we get into that, smash the like button, make sure you're subscribed, and as always, ring the bell for notifications so you know when we upload more content. We've got a great community here, and it's all thanks to you guys. Thank you so much for being here. With all that said, let's dive into today's story. In the prologue to today's adventure, we have the exact same scene that we saw in the 1999 X-Men movie, where a very young Magneto and his parents are taken to the camp and separated. As Magneto reaches for them, his extreme emotion causes his powers to manifest for the very first time. Several guards grab him and try to pull him away from the metal gate, but the force of his magnetism is so great that they can't budge him. Finally, one of the soldiers hits him with the butt of the gun, and everything comes to a stop. So the men pulling all fall over into the gray mud. One of the men here at the camp is Sebastian Shaw, who tells the lower ranking soldiers that he wants the boy to undergo testing. Which brings us to the main plot. Magneto, or as he was known back then, Erik Magnus Lehnsherr, is taken to Sebastian Shaw's office, where Shaw tells young Magnus that he's not like the Germans. In German, Shaw says that while genes are the key, blonde hair and blue eyes are completely irrelevant. Shaw eats some chocolate and offers some to Magnus, but Magnus just wants his mother. So Shaw takes the chocolate back and says that genes are the key to a new age, a new future for mankind. On Shaw's desk is a bell, and next to it is a German coin, which Shaw says should be much easier to move than a big metal gate. So Magnus rolls with a massive penalty to see if he can move the coin or to even use his powers at all. Magnus rolls a 10 and a 3, but that's not high enough, so the coin stays where it is. Shaw tells him that what he's trying to do is good, and he offers him positive encouragement at first. Magnus rolls again, and this time we lower the number he needs to get by one column shift. But Magnus rolls a 3 and a 5, so again, the coin remains motionless. Shaw says that the one thing he will say about the Germans is that their methods, in his opinion, get results. So Shaw rings the bell that's on his desk, and two German soldiers bring in Magneto's mother. Magnus hugs her, and they are both in tears. Sebastian Shaw, ever the evil prick, says he's going to count to 3. And he says this as he pulls a pistol out of his desk. Shaw says Magnus is going to try to move that coin. And if he gets to 3 and the coin has not moved, then he's going to pull the trigger. Shaw then points the gun at Magneto's mother and asks if the boy understands. Magnus understands perfectly and once again rolls the dice. So he has adrenaline going, and we lower the number he needs to roll even lower. But Magnus rolls a 3 and a 5 and fails. Shaw counts to 3 and then pulls the trigger. Magneto is so focused on the coin that the shot startled him. He hears the thud when she hits the floor, and Magnus stops trying to move the coin. His facial expression changes from that of fear and concentration to just hate. So once again, we lower the number that Magnus needs to roll over, and Magnus rolls an 8 and a 6. and he causes a nearby metal file cabinet to crumple up. The villain, Shaw, says Wunderbar, but then Magneto throws the file cabinet at him. Given his current emotional state, Magneto has what TSR's old Marvel Superheroes RPG calls unearthly magnetic control, which when you look up how much he can lift with that would be 12 APs. So Magnus subs that 12 for how hard the cabinet hits Shaw. But Shaw has energy absorption, and this includes kinetic energy. His energy absorption fuels power reserve, and his power reserve fuels strength. So young Magneto actually made Shaw stronger by hitting him. With Magneto's remaining automatic action, he screams in rage, and he hates Shaw with every fiber of his being. Understandably so. On Shaw's turn, he holds action. That means he won't go now, but if he wants to, he can interrupt somebody else's action later. And Shaw is very happy with how things are going. So feeling like he can't actually physically hurt Shaw right now, Magneto turns his attention on those two guards who are in the room. He rolls the dice and he gets a 2 and a 3. So trying to make their metal helmets crush their heads actually didn't work, partially because steel has such a high body, and this is considered a multi-attack. So that also adds to the difficulty of what he has to roll. Magneto trades in automatic actions for one more dice action, and he has that gun on the desk shoot one of the guards. That works. The guard hits the ground. The other guard goes for his gun and tries to shoot Magneto. So Shaw, who's been holding action, punches that guard. And Shaw's strength has been pumped up by Magneto's earlier attack. So Shaw knocks this guy out, who only had a body of 2 anyways. On Magneto's turn, he was going to have the gun shoot the other guard. But now that that guy's been knocked out, he has the gun shoot Shaw instead. The bullet hits Shaw, who in turn absorbs all of the energy that moves the bullet through the air. So when the bullet actually touches Shaw's skin, it just stops. And on Shaw's turn, he grabs it and holds it up to Magneto. Shaw tells Magneto that he understands why he'd be upset, which is the understatement of the decade. Magneto doesn't care what Shaw has to say, though, and the next room over is full of sharp surgical instruments. So Magneto changes tactics. Hitting Shaw with the file cabinet was what we might call crushing damage. The bullet would be considered impaling damage. So now it's time to see how Shaw handles cutting damage. So Magneto throws these various surgical implements through the glass and at Shaw. Magneto rolls a 4 and a 7, but the scalpels and such cannot penetrate Shaw's skin. They do mess up the suit he was wearing, though, which annoys Shaw. He tells Magneto to stop, warning him that if he doesn't, he will be forced to discipline him. Magneto obviously doesn't care. He just wants Shaw dead. So he throws a metal surgical table at him and rolls double 8s, which is a critical success. Then he rolls a 9 and a 10 for a grand total of 35. That's 7 column shifts. So here's the thing. Shaw only has so many APs of energy absorption. And if you go over that, he does actually start to take damage. And in this case, the table does hit him hard enough that it hurts him. Shaw rolls 2 10-sided dice, and he rolls an 8 and a 7 using the artist actor skill. And he uses that to pretend that that did not hurt because he doesn't want to give Magneto any hope. Magneto, by the way, gets to roll using his intelligence to see if he thinks that did anything. and he rolls an 8 and a 1. So unfortunately, he's unaware that he was actually getting anywhere. Shaw tells Magneto to stop, and Magneto throws the other surgical table at him. This time, Magneto rolls a 3 and a 4, so nothing great happens on this round. Since Shaw told him he would discipline him if he didn't stop, on his turn, Shaw has converted all of these APs of damage into APs of strength, and he punches Magneto. So the young boy is knocked out. Which brings us to the epilogue of this session. Captain America, Bucky, Nick Fury, and the Howling Commandos finally reach the camp, while Sebastian Shaw is not there. Magnus sees them enter, and he refers to Captain America as Ubermensch and asks if they are here to free them. Captain America says, "You speak English? What's your name, son?" Magneto tells him his name is Magnus. Captain America says, "Magnus, I'm stronger than most, but I'm still just a man, no different from you. We are all human beings. Only men like those German soldiers divide people any other way." Magnus hears Cap's words, but they might not have had the effect that Cap was hoping for. The part that Magnus heard was that the German soldiers are evil and unjust. While he would have done well to listen to Captain America's advice about how we should treat each other, inwardly, Magneto only has hate for his enemies at this point in his life. In 1945, Captain America goes missing in action, and soon after, the war ends. Many Germans flee to other countries like Brazil, and as the years pass, Magneto travels from country to country, hunting them down one by one. But that's a story for another day. We played this game right after we watched X-Men First Class, and one of the things that everyone in my circle of players thought at the time was that if Magneto had the ability to crush file cabinets, he should have done more in that scene with Sebastian Shaw. And while our version unfolded differently than theirs did, at the end of the day, the end result was still kind of the same, which we thought was interesting. Hopefully you thought this was interesting too. If so, we would love it if you took a moment of your time to smash that like button, make sure you're subscribed, and ring the bell for notifications. From all of us here at the longest running superhero RPG on Earth, we hope that you guys all have a great week, and we will see you in the next adventure. Bye.